Okay.
Hello, Mike Dill at Melco, part of the applications team, and today I'm on Digital Monday. So today we're going to talk about dye sublimation with the Epson printers. Not sure if you know this or not, but Melco actually has partnered and is a distributor with Epson, one of the premier distributors with Epson. I don't know the official title of it, but we carry 3 different dye sublimation printers. We carry the large one is the F6370. It's a large roll. I'll put in the comments, I'll put what size maximum print is on that. The SC F570 as well, I'll put that information in the comments. And the newest one, which I'm really excited about, is the SC F170, and it's actually on Shop Melco. I'll put a link to it. But what I like about this unit, as well as the F570, but the F170 is a very small footprint, so it can fit into our embroidery shops that don't have a lot of room that we can maybe part with. So check out that F170. If you've not gotten into dye sublimation, it may be a good starting point for you. If you're in it and you're looking at just upgrading to what I think is the best dye sublimation printers in the market, check out that SC F570. Prices are reasonable. So I believe the SC F170 is just a shade under $400. I can't remember the price on the F570, so I'll put that in the comments section as well. So enough about the details on it. Nice thing about dye sublimation is it is a great add-on to embroidery, and it's not difficult to do. It's not it doesn't take a lot of babysitting or anything like that. So today what we're going to be doing is, and you got to be really quiet about this, you all out there, we're going to do a Christmas present for my new son-in-law and my daughter. My wife actually is the camera woman today, so she's doing great. I think she's going to win an award for this one. But we've got this picture of what we're calling their COVID wedding, or the Rona wedding. And so we're going to put this on a cool sheet of aluminum that is ready for dye sublimation. This aluminum I got in, actually John LeDrew got for me, thank you John, got at JDS. I'll put the link for JDS in there. We like JDS a lot because they have a wide variety of stuff. They also have distribution in a lot of different states, so pretty much, unless you live like in Alaska, love you guys up there, but you're out there, or Hawaii, aloha, you probably can get stuff from JDS within a couple days. So that's what I really like about them. You've seen John just in the past week, he did one on Christmas ornaments, his cute little niece on a little star. It was adorable. If you didn't see it, go back and check that episode out. But we've done everything on dye sublimation, from embroidery, white embroidery, dye sublimating over the top of it. Dye sublimation only works, I shouldn't say only, really works best with light man-made materials. So polyesters, anything with a poly, majority poly blend, anything that's more natural, cottons, you really want to steer kind of away from the dye sublimation and look at the Epson direct garment printer, the F2100, as well. That's on Shop Melco. But anyways, back to this. So we're going to take and print this on this piece of aluminum. And so what I've done is I printed this out on the SC F6370, so real large pieces of paper. And so it's real nice and big. You'll notice that it is bigger. You can't see me, here we are. It's bigger, the picture is bigger than the piece of aluminum. And I did that because what I want to do is I want to flood the edges of this piece of aluminum so there's no border to the aluminum. This is kind of the new way people are doing it. And these pieces of metal as art are just really, really fabulous, and people pay top dollar for it. So for example, to give you an idea, the cost of this piece, raw cost to you as a dealer, if you're with JDS, this is right at a little bit under $27. And I've seen everything from put your own picture on it, from about $50 to $60 to wedding art that's like $75 to $100 to, you know, if someone has royalty art, putting it on there, I've seen it go up to well over $300 on a piece of aluminum this big. So there's a real good markup for this. Nice thing is all you need is, depending on how large you're printing, one of these Epson printers that we just talked about, and a heat press. The art is super simple. All this art came from our photographer at the wedding, the Rono wedding. We're calling it that, by the way, if you're wondering why. I think we only had like 26 people at the wedding, and they've got like close to 300 that we're going to be hopefully doing at the end of June this year, and have their first anniversary wedding. So this is just a JPEG that we got from the photographer inside the Epson RIP program. I was able to increase this size so that it was a little bit larger than the substrate or the piece of aluminum. And so that's what we're gonna do. So next step is gonna be, and I'm gonna do a second one too, by the way. This one, we're up in Colorado, I think it was in September, while the aspen are changing. If you've never been to Colorado when the aspen are changing, it is just absolutely gorgeous. So we were up in a pass just outside of Georgetown. I can't remember the name of it, but beautiful. And I took this picture. You know, and one thing you'll notice in these pictures is you might be going, Mike, you are high. No, I'm in Colorado, I'm not high. But these don't look very vibrant and bright. Dye sublimation paper prints don't, but once it substrates out, that's when the ink comes alive and the colors come alive. And you'll be, if you haven't seen it before, you'll just be, it's like night and day different between this and what happens on the substrate or piece of aluminum. Once again, you can use dye sublimation on anything from wearables to plaques to patches. We've done dye sub patches before, to ornaments. I mean, it's just, I've seen people use coffee presses and dye sub coffee presses with custom stuff. So, you know, I know it's probably getting a little late in the Christmas season this year, but if you were going to a craft fair, you could take a whole bunch of this aluminum and you could take and sell it and have people bring in art and actually do it at the fair, because all you would need to bring is, you know, if you had one of the smaller Epsons and a heat press, you'd be set up to do custom stuff at the show and people just eat that up. So with little more to go before we get over to the heat press, what I've done is I've preset this one. I've taken it and I've just taped it on either end. Remember that you can use heat tape, or John has shown me to use painter's tape, works just as well, and it's a little bit less expensive, which I kind of like. So check out the painter's tape. The reason we want to hold it in place is if there's any shifting while this is being pressed, it'll get what's called a ghost image, or it kind of looks like a reflection or an echo, of video echo, or, you know, you visually see kind of ripples in it. So we don't want that to happen. And if, once again, if you've never done dye sublimation, what's going to happen is the ink in the heat process is going to turn to a gas, and that gas is going to penetrate the piece of aluminum. That's why there's this white piece on here, is it will penetrate this, and wherever the white needs to show through, it will, because our printer doesn't have white ink. It's actually got CMYK. It's going to use that white there. So hold on for a minute. We're going to be right back with you on the heat press side. All right, so now we're over at the heat press, and we're going to take the aluminum and the picture, or the dye sub printout that we've got. We're going to do this. If you're a dye subber, you're going to say, Mike, you're putting it wrong, you're putting it wrong. This actually gets dye sub just the opposite of all the other dye subs. So typically we want the printout on the top, and then whatever we're dye subbing to on the bottom. With this aluminum, the manufacturer describes or prescribes that you do it just the other way. And by the way, this stuff is called Chromalux. I always forget the name of it. I always call aluminum, but it's Chromalux. So okay, let's take it. And I'm using the Hotronix Fusion heat press. Love Hotronix. Shop Melco's got those on there. Insta is another brand that we carry, really good brand. You'll notice with Melco that we try to carry all the good brands. So Epson, Roland, we believe Melco is a top product. And then all the accessories that we carry, like the heat presses, the pre-treatment machines, things like that. So we're gonna take this, we're gonna lay it down with the printout on the bottom, and then we're gonna take a piece of craft paper and we're gonna put over the top of it. You wanna make sure that your heat press does not have Teflon on the heat part. The Teflon has a tendency to move the heat around, and we need that heat to be consistent from our heat press. Another reason you need a good heat press. So one other thing I forgot to mention is this is 16 by 20 heat press. The piece of aluminum or Chromalux we're using is 15.75 by 18.75. So we did that because it fits still on our heat machine or our heat press. But if you've got a smaller heat press or you've got a smaller die sub unit, you know, you can take and make it. They make this Chromalux in all different sizes. Okay, so we put the craft paper on there. What we've done is we've just made ourselves a sub sandwich. Okay, I know, I'm not a comedian, but sublimation sandwich. So we took just the opposite of what we normally do. We put down our printout, our die sub, or the the Chromalux on top of that, and then the craft paper on top of that. So now we're gonna close it, and our temperature is going to be right at 400 degrees. And there's instructions that come with the Chromalux, and I'll be doing this for 3 minutes based off of their instructions with light to medium pressure. So here we go. All right, so it's done. Let's go ahead and open our press. We're gonna pull this out, pull this craft paper off. The manufacturer tells us that we should be using heat gloves. Unfortunately, I don't have my heat gloves, so I'm just using a t-shirt. What we're going to do is we're gonna take this off. I'm gonna just flip it over on here, and then we're just going to rip the paper. And we'll just rip it again. Just get this out of our way so you can see this. Pick it up from the bottom. But look how nice and bright and vibrant that image is compared to what the dye sublimation is. So if you have questions on dye sublimation, please post them in the comments, either on YouTube or Facebook. Even if it's after this is live, we'll be more than happy to answer those questions for you. But if you don't have dye sublimation in your embroidery business yet, make sure to check out what Melco has been doing with John LaDrew, our digital director, and what we've got on Shop Melco. Tons of videos. Stay safe out there. Have a great holidays. Thanks.